Hello one, hello all, it is the gothiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Fall Out Boy. So much for Stardust. Fall Out Boy is I guess you could say, emo, pop, punk, whatever you'd like to call them. For me, I would say they're emo. And they have returned from their hiatus, which is a 5-year hiatus, I want to say, because they dropped their last album, which I'm sure fans pretend doesn't exist. It's pretty much the equivalent of Stooges is, you know that album. It's not Raw Power. It's not Funhouse. It's not the self-titled. The Weirdness. Yeah, that's it. The Weirdness. Except I would never put Fall Out Boy artistically on the same level of the Stooges. Let's just get that out of the way. But yeah, I truly and honestly have never been a fan of Fall Out Boy. Not a huge fan anyway. I do enjoy their early stuff. From Take This to Your Grave, which I felt definitely had the raw and simplicity you would want with pop punk emo. You know, like you had your bass, you had your guitar, you had your drums. Patrick didn't sound as pretentious as he does now. So yeah. But once they signed to a label, I kind of lost interest. Not that they signed to a label, but that their music just sounded too friendly. It sounded too appealing. It sounded like they were making music for the mainstream, and I felt that, and I hate that. I hate that. But yeah, when it comes to like emo, I was probably more of a fan when it comes to like the mainstream stuff of like My Chemical Romance. That was my thing. Still is. And I will get a copy of Black Parade soon. But yeah, unfortunately, I felt Fall Out Boy's catalog got weaker and weaker and weaker. But they really outdone themselves in terms of mediocrity, in terms of bottom of the barrel with Mania, which was a very failed attempt at EDM music, which was just a electronic trash fire, if I'm being honest. Yeah, you had some passionate vocals here and there, but God, if the instrumentation and production couldn't be more obnoxious, couldn't be more soulless. And it's a shame too, because don't get me wrong, I feel Fall Out Boy is a talented band. I just don't think they're the band for me. And on this new album, I don't think they're doing it for me here either. So given the teasers to this thing, given I wasn't too crazy about the last album they put out, I wasn't excited to going into this one. But I will say the opener, which was a teaser to this, very cinematic opener here. I feel like it's like the beginning of a movie, and the hook is pretty catchy too as well. Probably the best use of symphonic rock, like, on here. Like, the elements are certainly there, but I cannot say the same thing for I Am My Muse. The lyrics, sonically, it's just not there for me. And the Queen-like guitars sound pretty tacked on. It's like you've just had this orchestral build, and then you just sprinkle a little Queen in there, a little Queen guitar work in there, and it doesn't really add much to it, honestly. Although I will say, I do respect the versatility here. I just feel like it runs very safe and very bland sonically. It's pretty much like that guy who brings like a bag of chips to a party every time. And he's just like, you know something? I normally bring the chips, but you know what? I brought pretzels, regular pretzels, and I brought Doritos. So, see, I'm venturing out. I'm mixing it up. When really it's just you just took like the most blandest, most run-of-the-mill things and just added them to your collection of things you bring to a party and what Fall Out Boys bring to the table here. Heartbreak feels so good, has these super basic synth lines. While I can't deny the passion from Patrick's voice, I do think the sentiment of dancing the pain away is cute. You know, that's fun, that's fine. But the hook suffers from beer commercialism. I'm sorry, it sounds like a beer commercial. And the tropes that grew old in the 2010s sonically, like these millennial whoops, they just need to go. They just need to go. They need to whoop and swoosh and go over there because I don't like them here. But hey, that's just me. And I personally feel like the cliches follow on the track Hold Me Like a Grudge, which pretty much is Fall Out Boy by the numbers, cliche lyrics, like that try to be funny but just comes off really cheesy, but then try to be edgy at the same time. It just isn't doing it for me. Like, you put the fun in dysfunction, really, guys? And pretty much romanticizing the toxic relationship angle. Blah. Part-time soulmate, full-time problem, so hold me like a grudge. Ugh. Not to mention the undeniable, unapologetic ripoff of Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out. You know what I'm talking about. The guitar licks on here sound eerily similar. Take the Pepsi taste test. Turn this off, listen to Hold Me Like a Grudge, and then listen to Franz Ferdinand, Take Me Out. You'll see. You'll see what I mean. And speaking of Take Me Out, they pretty much should have took the synths or this song, like, Fake out of the album as well. Because you barely hear the synths. The synths are so buried in there in the mix. And I feel like the song is like running on a good groove. You know, I love a good running groove. You know, I love a good running groove. But without the synths, I feel like that's the key element. It's like when I'm listening to it, I'm like, you want to know what the song can need? Some synths. Oh yeah, the synths are here, but they're buried in the mix. So I can't really appreciate it, and I think the song is pretty much pointless. The song Heaven, Iowa is pretty much a mess with these Phil Collins, Air in the Night build. Like, it doesn't necessarily pay off in terms of structure and build because the instrumentation just sounds pretty blown out and these obnoxious melodramatic vocals just basically ruin it for me. I will admit though, the 80s pop rock synth vibes do pan out well on the song the Kintsugi Kid, 10 Years. You know, I dig the revving guitars, the momentous drums, the sweet harmonies, punchy drums, passionate vocal performances from Patrick, and I do dig the synth melodies, how they coalesce and harmonize well with the guitars. Good job. And the triumphant synth keys are just great on this. They really are a match made in heaven. And I do love that track. But I wish we had more of this, and unfortunately we don't. And then we get just the most obnoxious sample from a song that's pretty much not in good taste, honestly, of Thurston Harris' Little Bitty Pretty One. Like, reading into the lyrics, they're kind of creepy. And to add insult to injury, again, this just suffers from commercialism. It sounds like a commercial for back to school clothes with these and then you got like the guitar coming in, and it's just why. So yeah, the derivativeness does not end here. The derivativeness appears once again on the song Time to Be Alive, which sounds like a flavorless whiteification of Earth, Wind, and Fire's September. Like, if you took out the lyrics, you took out the vocals, and you just paid attention to the progression on here, the instrumentation on here, it just sounds like they said, hey, I got an idea, guys. Let's rip off September, but, add like a little razzle-dazzle here, and they won't notice, but you notice. You notice it's not done well, it's not interesting, it's bland, it's cheesy, and it's a bad idea. And the closer is pretty much a mix of like really pretentious theater kid stuff, honestly. It's like theater kid meets pop punk, and yeah, no thank you. No thank you. And it's not really that compelling either. Like, you had this as the last track on here, but it just pretty much drags. It's not as epic. It's not that great of a closer. And yeah, I will say though, there are moments where I do feel the mix is better in terms of mania, and maybe also in terms of some of their, like, Rockefeller stuff. Like, what's that one with the lamb? Or Folie à Deux? Yeah, those. It's like, for me, Fall Out Boy has always been one of those bands that I feel people enjoy because they're popular and because they link up with and have so much respect from other people in the industry, honestly. And the songs are catchy while they're on. They are enjoyable while they're on, but if you're listening to this from a critical perspective, I just don't see how they're as compelling as a My Chemical Romance, honestly, or any other great emo band for that matter, or any other rock band for that matter. But that's just me. So yeah, I'm feeling 1.5 stars on this, honestly. If you've given this a listen, what did you think of this? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Yeah, drop your comments below. Caspa, Got the Ghost, Fall Out Boy, so much for Stardust. Till we meet again.